Edward's branch line is a busy part of the island of Sodor. Edward and BoCo huff and puff up and down the branch line. They pull various goods trains and passenger trains from Wellsworth to Brendam and back. The branch line runs all the way down to the docks. From the docks, there is a small line that runs to the China Clay Works. Bill and Ben, the tank engine twins, are always hard at work there. Whenever Edward is away, BoCo takes charge of the branch line. He loves the branch line and is glad that Sir Topham Hatt put him on it. One day, Bill pulled into the docks with a long train of China clay. He was tired. Bill stopped and was uncoupled. Sir Topham Hatt came up. "Good job, Bill." "Sir, I'm Ben." Sir Topham Hatt realized his mistake. "Oh, sorry, Ben. I've been too busy." Then he turned to BoCo. "BoCo, part of Henry's forest had to be cleared for safety. Now there's a large surplus of lumber at the timber yard. I need an engine to manage the yard during this busy time. Will you come and help me?" BoCo was surprised. This sounded like fun to manage a different yard for a few days. "I will have Edward cover most of the branch line duties, and James to cover your main line duties." BoCo was excited to go on this new adventure, but he was going to miss the branch line. He thanked the controller and then left for the timber yard. When BoCo arrived at the timber yard, everything was a mess. Oh my! Everything was unorganized. The trucks were scattered around the yard, and no work was being done. "I guess this is what you get when no one takes care of this place." BoCo decided he would tidy things up before he started work. The trucks giggled and laughed. "Why did Sir Topham Hatt send a green pickle like BoCo?" BoCo was cross. He biffed two of the trucks together. "Come along." BoCo pushed the trucks together and put them in a siding. All the trucks were cross with him, but BoCo didn't care. He went and loaded 3 trucks and set them in a siding for Donald to collect. Donald arrived and took the cars away. Then James came in with 5 trucks loaded with wood from Henry's forest. BoCo shunted them and had a crane put the loads into piles. BoCo was feeling good. The timber yard was now organized, all the engines got what they needed, and the trucks had been quiet during the latter part of the day. But secretly, the trucks had been planning a trick for BoCo. Since they were so quiet, BoCo didn't even notice. Later, Percy came to collect some loaded trucks. So BoCo went to the sidings and tried to pull some trucks to the loading area. But the trucks wouldn't budge. BoCo tried pulling them again and again, but they wouldn't move. The trucks had planned this all out and had purposely jammed their brakes hard on so they couldn't move. BoCo realized what they had done. So to try and unlock their brakes, BoCo began to push them forward. They were still stuck, so BoCo tried harder. Finally the brakes snapped and the trucks raced forward and ran right through the buffers. The 2 engines stared in horror at the derailed trucks. BoCo knew that this was his fault. Soon enough, Henry arrived with the breakdown train. BoCo was worried that he'd be in trouble for what he had done to the trucks. When Sir Topham Hatt arrived, in Toby, he told BoCo that he wasn't cross. "It wasn't your fault, BoCo. These trucks need to learn that they will get punished if they don't cooperate. They got what they needed." The trucks just stared at Sir Topham Hatt. Then he walked away to talk to the yard manager. BoCo was relieved. For the next few days, the timber yard was very busy. BoCo often got to see Edward. They would talk about the latest on the branch line. All the other engines thought that BoCo was great at managing the timber yard. One day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see BoCo. "I'm very pleased with your work here, BoCo. The yard manager and I discussed it, and we agreed that we're going to keep you here to manage the timber yard every day." BoCo was upset. He couldn't wait to be pulling long goods trains along the main line, or to be shunting trucks at the docks. He was really looking forward to go back to the branch line, but now he was going to be stuck in the timber yard forever. "Oh, I'm just joking. The surplus of timber is over, and now there is much work to be done on Edward's branch line. You may return to your old jobs." BoCo was excited and raced away to where he called home. Edward and the twins were waiting for him at Wellsworth Station. When BoCo arrived, the engines whistled and cheered for his return, but BoCo was the happiest of all to be back home. Skarloey is an old and wise engine. He has lived on Sodor for over 100 years. He is always good to help other engines out when they are in need. But Skarloey can get tired easily and has to take more breaks than usual. He also breathes heavily when pulling long trains. The other engines tease him about this. Duke and Rheneas are always kind to back him up when the younger engines are making fun of him. One day, Skarloey had finished pulling a train and arrived back at the sheds. "Oh, my wheels and coupling rods!" Peter, Sam, Sir Handel, and Duncan joked quietly. "Shut up! You're just jealous of him." "Jealous of an engine who can't even buff? Let's be realistic, Rusty." Duncan left to go shunt some slate trucks. "Some days he just gets on my nerves." "Well, thank you for standing up for me." There was no time to chat. Rusty's driver arrived. There was an accident down the line that needed to be taken care of. Rusty collected some supplies and headed up the track. Duke was taking a train to Lakeside, but while going up a hill he got held back, so Rheneas came to push. Now he had pushed too hard and derailed himself. Rusty arrived with the supply train. The workmen lifted Rheneas back onto the tracks. Then Duke and Rheneas began to push and pull the train up the hill. Rusty followed behind. Soon the cavalcade reached the Lakeside station. But now there was even more trouble. The water tower was out of order. "Well, what do we do now?" "We can always drink the water out of the lake." Duke's driver chuckled. "You'll end up like Thomas a long time ago with fish in your tanks." All the crew began to consult on what they should do. Rusty's tanks were completely full of fuel, but he couldn't pull all of them. "Try calling for another engine," Rheneas' fireman suggested. The rest of the crew agreed to the idea. So Duke's driver phoned the yard. Skarloey was the only engine there. He was shunting coaches for the other engines. Skarloey soon received the news and was happy to help his friends. So Skarloey chuffed all the way up the line. Skarloey arrived and was coupled to the front of the cavalcade. Then Rusty with his supply train was coupled to the back of Rheneas. Then Skarloey began to pull. Even though Rusty was helping, it still was a lot of work to pull 2 engines, coaches full of passengers, and a supply train. When they passed by a station, people would wave and cheer for them. This helped brighten their spirits. Even so, the long train puffed down the line. Skarloey and Rusty strained and puffed. They crossed the viaduct almost home when Skarloey had to stop. He was out of breath. Rusty almost derailed the brake van. "Stop! Stop!" the guard shouted. Rusty stopped. The crew went to talk to Skarloey. "What's the matter, champ?" "I just can't keep going." The crew checked the gauges on each engine in the train. "We only have a little more to go. We're going to have Rheneas and Duke help push too." So the little engine started again. Finally, they arrived at Crovan's Gate Station. The engines were relieved. Sir Handel was cross when he saw them, and he fumed off to the sheds. The passengers cheered for the engines who helped get them home, but they soon had to leave. Rusty then shunted away all the coaches and cars. Duke and Rheneas helped Skarloey to the sheds. Sir Topham Hatt came to congratulate the engines. "Skarloey, I want you to take the rest of today and tomorrow off. You are an old and wise engine, and I'm very proud of you." And then Sir Topham Hatt left. Peter Sam was shunting and came up to Skarloey. "Good job today!" And Peter Sam went back to shunting. Skarloey was happy. He had done his job and had had a good day. It had been raining hard on the island of Sodor. Everyone had still been busy with work. Not only were the engines busy, but others too, like Terence, Bertie, and Trevor. One morning, the engines woke up to a sunny sky. "It stopped raining! Finally! Now I can try and break the record again for the Express!" Thomas was puzzled. All the engines soon went to work. Thomas pulled into Knapford Station with Annie and Clarabelle. Percy shunted the express coaches to the platform. "Hurry up!" Thomas was cross. He never got to rest while someone else shunted his coaches for him. Gordon puffed out of the siding and was coupled up to the coaches. "Gordon, why does someone else always shunt your coaches for you?" "When you're as fast and important as me, you don't have time for shunting." And Gordon rushed out of the station. Thomas was cross. He thought Gordon should have to shunt his own coaches. But Thomas did think it would be nice to have Annie and Clarabelle already ready for him when he woke up. Thomas wanted to be important like Gordon, so he rushed out of the station, pretending to be like Gordon. Terence the tractor works on a field on Thomas's branch line. He was busy plowing the field. Terence was having a fun time. Once he was done, his owner came out to congratulate him on a job well done. After he congratulated him, the owner had another job for Terence to do. "Terence, there is some trouble on the tracks. Mrs. Kindly just informed me that a tree fell over the railway line. We need to go move the tree. I'm going to get us some supplies, but we need to hurry over there. Thomas is coming soon." "Shouldn't we warn Thomas about the tree first?" "No, he's about a half an hour away, so we have plenty of time." After the driver was done talking, he went and collected some supplies and came back. Then he and Terence went to the railway tracks. They found the tree and tied a rope to it. Meanwhile, Thomas was rushing down his own branch line, still pretending to be Gordon. What Thomas didn't know was that there is a speed limit on his branch line, and that the tree might not be clear for him in time. The rope was soon tied to Terence. "Pull!" Terence pulled hard. The tree was heavy, and the branches were caught on the tracks. Terence continued to pull until he heard a noise that frightened him. It was Thomas's whistle he heard. "Thomas isn't supposed to be here yet. Hurry, Terence, otherwise we might have an accident." Suddenly, Thomas came into view. Thomas decided to be like Gordon. "Get out of my way!" Terence pulled as hard as he could. Thomas realized that Terence wasn't getting out of the way. Thomas hurried and applied the brakes. Just then, a branch broke and Terence pulled the tree off the line, just in time. Phew. Thomas stopped. The passengers saw everything that had happened. They climbed out of the coaches and clapped and cheered for Terence. Then they thanked him for being such a hero. Terence's owner came up to Thomas. "You weren't supposed to be here for another 15 minutes." Thomas was embarrassed. "I was trying to be an express engine and be really fast. I'm sorry. Thomas's crew talked with Terence's owner and explained how they had tried to slow him down. They were very sorry, too. Thomas was glad to see his friend so happy. I'm sorry, Terence, for almost causing an accident. It's all right, Thomas. All in a day's work. The passengers climbed into Annie and Clarabelle, and Thomas puffed away. Terence was proud that he had saved the day. The narrow-gauge engines live on a wonderful little railway at the heart of the island of Sodor. It's always busy with work at the slate mines or vacationers who wish to see the sights of Sodor. One day, Sir Handel was bringing down a train full of slate from the mines. He stopped at a station to fill up on water before he continued back down the tracks. Skarloey was there too with a goods train. Skarloey was busy talking to the station master. Next to the station master was a little kitten. The kitten was playing with a ball of yarn. Sir Handel eyed the station master's kitten suspiciously. The kitten was very quick to pounce on the ball of yarn. He would knock it one way, and then another, then he would roll around with the yarn in his paws and try to bite it. Sir Handel was impressed by this little kitten. The station master could see that Sir Handel was preoccupied by the kitten. He looked at his watch. Sir Handel, you're running late! You need to be as quick as that cat if you're going to make up for lost time. Yes, sir. And Sir Handel hurried away. Quick as a cat. I must. Sir Handel raced along the line and finally made it back to the big station. The station master complimented Sir Handel. You're early. I'm just being as quick as a cat. The station master laughed and walked away. Sir Handel was very proud of himself. I'll be as quick as a cat in all my jobs today. Sir Handel collected some coaches and traveled up the line to pick up some vacationers. Sir Handel arrived at the station early. Too early. There was no one there. Sir Handel had to wait for the passengers to arrive. He waited and waited. It was boring. He now wondered if being as quick as a cat was really worth it. Finally, passengers began to show up. Duke arrived with his train. Sir Handel's coaches began to fill up very fast. Sir Handel was still concentrating on being as quick as a cat. He decided he was going to break the speed record going down the line. It was nearly time to go. Suddenly, Sir Handel heard a whistle. So did his driver. The driver released the brake and Sir Handel took off. What both didn't know was that it wasn't the guard's whistle. It was a little boy's whistle he had gotten at a gift shop. Sir Handel had left the passengers and luggage stranded on the platform. Stop! Stop! But Sir Handel sped away. He was being as quick as a cat. Luckily, a passenger on board saw what happened and pulled the emergency brake. Why have we stopped? The driver got out to find out what was the matter. He noticed there was no guard. So he talked with the passengers and found out what happened. Then he backed Sir Handel to the station. Sir Handel was embarrassed. The angry passengers boarded the train. Sir Handel then finally left again. This time, though, he wasn't trying to be as quick as a cat. Slowly but surely, he made it home. Sir Handel snuck into the shed that night, but Sir Topham Hatt showed up. Sir Handel was scolded for what he had done. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Patience is a virtue. Sir Handel spent the rest of the night thinking about what Sir Topham Hatt had said. Mavis the Diesel Engine works at the quarry at the end of Thomas's branch line. She's a very nice diesel, but can be young and restless. Mavis always tries to keep herself busy with the work at the quarry. One morning, Mavis woke up to find Toby and Sir Topham Hatt there. "Good morning, sir." "Hello, Mavis. The railway board and I have been doing a lot of planning, and we've decided to expand the quarry." Mavis was surprised. "We are going to start blasting on the north end of the quarry beginning tomorrow. It will be unsafe for you to work here, so I am sending you to Duck's branch line to keep busy." Mavis was sad that she'd be leaving the quarry, but excited that she would get to work at some place new. So Mavis left the quarry. She arrived at Knapford, and then Oliver took her up to show her the branch line. For the next 2 weeks, Mavis had fun going up and down the branch line with Duck, Donald, Douglas, and Oliver. She mainly helped with the ballast loads, since she is good with trucks, and on a few occasions she got to take a special train of fish down to the harbor to the Flying Kipper. Mavis had fun, and was happy to go home when the blasting was over. Oliver, Duck, Donald, and Douglas said goodbye to her, and then she left. When Mavis got back to the quarry, almost everything looked the same. She went up the line and found that some old sidings that used to end at a stone wall were now the tracks that led to the new north part of the quarry. She was anxious to explore it. When she went up the line, she found the new tracks that led to the new mine shafts, and a few sidings too. She was now excited for more work, and maybe now Toby would come up more often. Mavis was right. Toby now came up every day with Henrietta to drop off workmen, and almost every other day he would stay up and help with the work. With all this work, Mavis noticed that the trucks seemed to be more troublesome than before. "We don't feel like moving. We get weeks of vacation and now we're being worked harder than ever," they grumbled amongst each other. Mavis tried to push them over the points towards the hopper, and the trucks began to derail. Mavis stopped. "Darn!" Mavis was upset that trucks had tried to derail her. Toby brought the breakdown train, and they got the cars back on the rails. Soon all the trucks had gotten the message to pay Mavis out. That night, the trucks made a plan. Mavis was to shunt some trucks partially down the new mine shaft so they could be loaded. Mavis pushed the cars in. Mavis was nervous. It was dark and scary. A truck shouted, "Now!" All the trucks jerked forward. The trucks were about to send her down the mine shaft. Mavis put her brakes hard on. The coupling between Mavis and the trucks couldn't take the weight of it, and it snapped. The trucks raced all the way down the mine shaft. Mavis was scared. She reversed quickly away. Her driver went and informed the foreman. "It's all right. Since Percy's last accidents in the coal mines, we made it so runaway trucks can't exceed the speed of 10 miles per hour. They're fine, but they'll be down there for quite a long time." Mavis was relieved. That night, Mavis told Toby all about her adventures. Toby laughed. "You should know by now the trouble trucks can cause." "But what was I supposed to do? Go down the mine shaft with them?" "No, you did the right thing. You may have not learned everything about trucks, but you sure know when to let 'em go." Mavis laughed, and the 2 engines fell asleep happily in the quarry shed, while the trucks had to sit cold and alone at the bottom of the mine shaft. Hello, I'm Ben. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to subscribe for more Thomas and Friends videos. You can also check out more videos on our YouTube channel by clicking the Visit Channel button. If you want to learn more about the up-and-coming latest adventures from Sodor, and to find out about the latest updates, then click the News Blog button. You can also check out the Google Plus and our Facebook page by clicking a link in the description. We hope to see you again soon. Come back often for more videos.